Kalanchoe flowering, how to make a Kalanchoe rebloom. If your Kalanchoe plant is no longer full of flowers, there are a couple of things you can do to encourage new flower buds to form. A Kalanchoe plant can flower any time of year in the right conditions. Let's figure out what could be happening. Kalanchoe plants can flower for a few months at a time, but it is natural for them to lose their flowers at some point because they need some rest to rebloom. Depending on the time of year and length of the days, they will go into this dormancy period. Typically, at the end of summer or early fall, they will lose their leaves and begin producing new buds. Once the days become longer in the late winter, early spring, the buds will bloom into gorgeous flowers. Don't fret if your plant's flowers die off. It will rebloom in time. Just be sure to give your plant enough light in the spring so it will begin to flower. A south or west window is ideal. If there are dead flowers left on a Kalanchoe plant, then it might be wasting its energy trying to sustain a part of the plant that is already dead. By cutting or pinching away the dead flowers, the plant will begin to use its energy to produce new buds, replacing the dead flowers. The Kalanchoe plant is quite low maintenance and should only be watered when the soil is fully dry. Don't allow the plant to become so dry it begins to wilt. Wilting can greatly affect future flower production. Also be sure not to overwater the plant, as this can lead to issues like root rot. Check the soil regularly to see if it needs a drink. If the soil is 100% dry, you can water. Kalanchoe bloom time. Usually, the plant is in full bloom at purchase and produces a constant parade of flowers for weeks or even months. Kalanchoes are forced to bloom by nurseries in order to present their flowers for purchasers. When does Kalanchoe bloom naturally? In its native region, Kalanchoe can bloom almost year-round, but as a container houseplant, it is most commonly blooming in late winter to late spring. This cycle will slow down as lighting increases. Getting it to bloom again requires a rest period for the plant, and then tricking it into thinking it is a different time of year. For factors that contribute to Kalanchoe reblooming. In order for Kalanchoe to flower again, there are a few things that need to happen. 1. Kalanchoe needs fewer daylight hours in order to bloom. Just in case the rubbery leaves and the juicy stems don't give it away, let me make it clear, Kalanchoe is a succulent. It shares a family, Crassulaceae, with other popular succulents such as jade plants, sempervivum and echeveria. This means that, in general, it does well in bright sunlight. During the summer months, it will be very happy if it gets 8 hours of sun a day. You can also grow it outdoors during the summer, as long as you place it in dappled shade. However, Kalanchoe is what's called a short-day plant, much like our other Christmas friend, the poinsettia. This plant response to daylight/darkness lengths is called photoperiodism. Therefore, during its period of pre-bloom rest, you must shelter it from too much light. If you want your Kalanchoe to bloom around Christmas, you need to facilitate a rest period of about 2 months starting in mid-fall. Some gardeners prefer to round this up to 10 weeks, while others think 6 weeks is enough. During these 2 months, the plant must get about 12 to 14 hours of total uninterrupted darkness. This period of darkness doesn't just refer to natural daylight, but to artificial light as well. However, don't mistake this for total 24-hour darkness. It's important for the plant to have access to some light, whether natural or artificial, for the rest of the day. Find a darkness routine for your Kalanchoe. For my plants, I found that 2 months of natural rest usually hit the right spot. For my Kalanchoe to flower again at the end of November, I start these preparations in late September. That's when I move the Kalanchoe from their usual spot next to a large south-facing window to our much darker and much cooler bedroom. I roll down the light-blocking blinds around 5 p.m. and keep them down until 8 a.m. the following day. That gives my winter-blooming plants a period of rest of about 14 hours. When I didn't have a separate room available, I cleared a shelf in my coat closet for my Kalanchoe collection. I'd put it in there when I came back home and took off my coat. I then took out the pots in the morning when I opened the closet door again to retrieve my coat. If there's no space in any of your closets, you can place the plant under the kitchen sink, in a spare bedroom or in the darkest corner of your house. Alternatively, you can place a bucket, a paper bag or a cardboard box on top of your Kalanchoe for 14 hours every day. But only if you set a reminder on your phone to get into the habit of bringing your Kalanchoe back to light. Once the plant sets buds, you can stop worrying about mandatory darkness. Just place it somewhere you can enjoy its showy display of blooms. My plants go back to their usual spot in the south-facing window, which, to be fair, doesn't get too much sunlight from November to March anyway. 2. For Kalanchoe to rebloom, you should reduce watering. Like all succulents, Kalanchoe prefers dry conditions to being overwatered. In the summer, it needs more water because it's growing and storing energy. The water also evaporates faster through perspiration when the plant is soaking in bright sunlight. Even so, you should only water it when the soil feels slightly dry to the touch. As the days get shorter and Kalanchoe enters its period of well-deserved rest, its watering needs to taper down. I usually go from watering every week to watering it once every 3 weeks or so. Once the Kalanchoe flowers start opening up, you may notice that this succulent dries up faster. So it's time to adjust its watering again, increasing its frequency as the days get longer in the spring. As always, the best indication of watering needs will come from the plant itself. I don't water my Kalanchoe if its soil is even mildly damp. 3. Help Kalanchoe bloom again by keeping it cool. In the summer, whether you keep Kalanchoe outdoors or inside, it can handle temperatures in the mid-80s F, 26-29C, as long as you don't leave it out in the scorching sun. But starting in mid-September, make sure you place your Kalanchoe in a cooler location. Florist's Kalanchoe likes a nighttime temperature of about 60 F, around 15.5 C, in order to start setting buds. Cool nighttime temperatures, around 50 F, 10 C, will prolong the life of the blooms, but these temperatures may not be realistic inside our homes in the middle of winter. But if you have an insulated sunroom or enclosed porch that constantly stays around these temps, your Kalanchoe will like it very much. 4. Do not fertilize your Kalanchoe if you want it to rebloom. I don't fertilize my Kalanchoe much. But if you have been fertilizing them during their summer growth spurt, it's time to put an end to this practice. At least temporarily. It may seem counterintuitive, especially if you're used to feeding your garden plants in full bloom. But Kalanchoe is a short day plant that does not need extra nutrients when it's trying to rest. I would be very happy if you liked the video and subscribe to my channel.